So now starting at H, which is right after we just ended, the piece starts turning the corner a bit, and the attitude starts changing just a little bit. And we're going to try that. As you play this, I want you to be thinking a bit more evil when you play. I'm not going to tell you exactly what to do as far as articulation or as far as your crescendos or decrescendos or anything like that. I just want you to play from H and you to be bringing up that little part of you on the inside that likes to play tricks on your younger sibling or your stand partner, that mischievous part of yourself. Because I know, especially I teach at the collegiate level, and a lot of times musicians, especially the better they become technically, end up getting roped into thinking that good technique is the goal of what they're trying to do, which is not the case. And I don't think most composers don't want good technique to be the goal of the performance. They want a performance that is emotionally moving and emotionally dramatic. So as a player, we have to make sure that we always have that goal in mind, and that will govern our technique. Because you may find that if I want this to really sound more evil and more sinister, I actually have to work on my articulation a different way, or I actually have to learn how to play a bit louder or longer phrases. So the expressive quality of the music, the emotion, has to be the goal. And I think young kids are really good at this as long as they're reminded that that's the fact. I've heard really boring performances from professionals that are really technically clean, and really exciting performances that are technically a mess from young bands, but they're much more exciting to listen to. It's like the difference between watching a ball game, between watching the NBA and watching maybe collegiate basketball, where maybe it isn't as technically proficient, but it's very exciting. So I'm going to ask you guys who are playing the melody, or even everyone playing at H, I want you to think evil, mischief, just a little evil. Not a lot of evil. We'll get eviler later. But I want you to think a little mischief as you're playing this. Okay? So we'll just try maybe from H to I. And as far as the form of the piece, we're starting now to go backwards through the theme. So we went short introduction, and then we did theme A, theme B, theme C. Now we're going back to theme B, and then we'll go back to theme A, and then we'll actually have all three themes playing together. It's a technique that composers call invertible counterpoint, where we write these themes so that they can work above and below each other together. But for now, we're going to be playing the B theme, now up in higher voices, with a little bit of mischief in our attitude here. Good. That's good. Okay, now, I want to ask you guys, when someone says play more mischief or play more evil, what comes to mind? What do you think you have to do if you were to analyze that as a performer? What are some of the things you would want to do different from, let's say, playing happy? Yeah. Okay, so crescendo and decrescendo as you like. So it sounds more impulsive and a little less controlled, maybe more out of control that way. Good? Well, we have the first suggestion from a drummer. That's crazy. Yes? There's a darker tone to make it seem like more dark, not as bright. Okay, a darker tone, maybe a more darker emotion, so a darker tone. Second suggestion from a tuba player. Fantastic. What else? And a bassoonist.
Like more intense articulation.
More intense articulation. Now, I'm surprised that wasn't the first thing that was. Well, no, I can see how volume would be the first thing and change in volume. You guys, I don't know, maybe, have you ever had a parent yell at you? No? Maybe? You're all great kids. Parents never yell at you. Well, when yeah, band directors yell at them. When somebody is a bit angry, maybe seeming a bit evil to you, when they're a bit angry to you, they raise their voice, right? They want to get your attention. So, of course, volume would go into that. And articulation, of course, when someone wants to really get your attention and make sure you're listening, they're very articulate in the way they speak. And, of course, a darker tone. When mom or dad wants to get you, hey, pay attention. Their voice lowers down. They're serious now, right? All of these things, as performers, we need to translate into playing more evil. It's in order to get out the expression. So we start off with the idea of the emotional quality of the music, the attitude of the music. And then we say, okay, what techniques do we use to bring out that attitude? So now we have a bunch of techniques we can use, and now we go back to the music and really over-deliver on these techniques. And I always tell my students to over-deliver, to exaggerate it to the point where it sounds ridiculous. And I mean really exaggerated for two reasons. One is because even when I tell them to exaggerate it, they don't. So I always have to say that. But two, if you go way overboard and take it way past the line, then you know where the line is. And you can come back a little bit to make it fit into the context of a performance among civilized human beings while still being expressive. So I want you to take it to the point, think of the most evil character you can think of. Name some evil characters. Dr. Evil, Darth Vader, okay? Those are a couple. I'm sure you guys don't watch movies? Joker. The Joker, yeah, what? Von Doom. There's a plethora of evil characters that you can use as inspiration. Of course, there are great evil characters in literature as well, but I want you to really get into that mindset and become that character. So if you're becoming Darth Vader, you're going to use the force on your instrument, and you're gonna choke the band director as hard as you can, okay? So let's try that at H one more time, and I want you to really go overboard to the point where it's so ridiculous that you can actually get the people on either side of you to start giggling with how overboard you're taking it, okay? So I want to hear the dark, evil JP Tarabella band.
Set, right on it. Here we go.
That was great. Okay, so we're getting more sinister here, and I could definitely hear people were not only accenting a little more, especially beautiful clarinet playing, by the way, not only accenting more, especially when they got into the trill, they were trilling with a bit more fever, but I could also hear that note lengths were changed a bit. They're playing a bit shorter, a bit more agitated feel. Now, I think it can get even eviler, and what I do a lot of times, and my students really get embarrassed when I have them do this. And I'm going to ask you guys to do it as well. But don't worry, no one's really watching us right now. So I'm going to have you sing this. And I don't care about the pitches. I don't even care about the rhythms. I just want to hear you sound evil. So you can sort of get the pitches, the rhythms aren't that hard. And you played the melody a couple times, so you can sort of approximate the pitches. But I want you to sing as evilly, if that's a word, as you can. And the reason I ask you to do this is because you don't have to worry about playing pushing down the keys or taking a breath enough to fill up a flute for a whole phrase or anything like that. I just want you to think purely about the emotion and the mechanics it takes for you to enunciate and express that emotion. If it means singing a bit louder, then sing louder. If it means singing really soft and really articulate, then do that. But I want you to really go overboard, okay? Don't worry. This will just be on the web for the rest of your life.
and you go watch it tonight. Here we go. Set, singing, ready.
Okay. Good job, good job. So an exercise like that really shows who the extroverts and introverts are in the ensemble. And what I usually do, I won't do it today, but what I usually do is pick out the introverts, the people who maybe weren't putting 100% into it, and make them stand up and do it alone. But I won't do that to them, at least not right now. So getting into the attitude of the piece takes you a long way to actually learning what the music is about, especially learning what this piece is about, since it is a children's march that goes from one extreme to the other. Now let's take a look at how it develops, because we're going to get even more sinister as the A theme comes back. And the A theme is sort of built that way, where it has, for instance, that opening a half step movement, which you can really sink into.